Welcome to the Boone Podcast. I'm Bret Boone, and today on the program, I sit down with an all-star and a World Series champion.
I sacrificed a lot to come to New York. I wanted to be a part of something special.
He made me a better player, a better person.
Roy Halladay is my guy, man. He was tough.
Welcome, everybody, to a special edition of the Bret Boone Podcast, Turning Two with Booney. I'm Rich Rivera from the Infinity Sports Network. I'm joined today by, and you take your pick, either Bret's little brother or Aaron's big brother, because that's the only way they've been described in the newspaper since Bret decided to get back in uniform. Aaron and Bret Boone joining us here on the Bret Boone Podcast. So, Arnie, what is it? Are you back being Bret's little brother now that he's back in uniform?
Yeah, I think I've always been Bret's little brother. So
it's been a little hiatus.
Yeah. But it'll be fun. Looking forward to seeing them and grabbing some dinner tonight, and then seeing them over across the way, competing against them this week. It'll be a lot of fun and something that we've never done in this way, but in a lot of ways we're very used to.
So, Bret, is it now back to the way it's always been, where Aaron gets introduced as, oh, that's Bret's little brother? Because lately, I'll be honest, you're better known as being his older brother than the other way around.
Yes, my whole life it was always Aaron's that's Bret Boone's brother. And then when he took the job with the Yankees, I remember in the beginning, it's like, oh, that's Aaron Boone's brother. And it kind of caught me off guard. It had never been that way. But then, I accepted. I said, my little bro is the skipper of the Yankees, so I can deal with that. But no, I'm looking forward to this on a serious note. It's been cool watching him as a big brother and very proud of what he's accomplished, not only in his life, but with the Yankees. And I know, we have a lot of talks throughout the years, and being the Yankee skipper, you're always on that hot seat. And I'm always the one to, hey, there's only so much you can control. It's weird because I've talked to him without actually being uniform personnel at the big league level. I haven't been down there in a long time. So that's what, the little things I'm finding out in the first couple weeks, navigating through this thing for me. Things that have surprised me. One of them is the talks I've had with Aaron over the years.
We're going to get to that. We're going to get. Don't jump ahead.
Okay.
Look,
I don't want to spoil.
Yeah, don't mess up.
Spoil your big interview, Rich.
Well, no, because Arnie, look,
I got you.
Bret loves the rundown over here because it's kind of big.
We're talking about the rundown while we're waiting on you.
I'm not used to the rundown, so I go off on tangents. All right, that's
all
it.
Right, so let's stay focused
I'm excited
here.
about the weekend. Let me see. Aaron's big brother. Okay.
Yeah. So let's stay focused here. Aaron, I can only do so much with them. I need your help over here. Yeah. I just figured out, though, what really is you two are Matthew's older brothers. And that way nobody and everybody's happy then, right?
That's right. That's right.
All right. Let's get Aaron's reaction. Reaction when your brother calls and says, hey, guess what? I think I'm going to go work for Bruce Bochy. What was your instant reaction? What went through your mind, Aaron?
So my instant reaction was the whoa emoji, the eyeballs out, like, whoa, So I had called him. We were having our welcome home dinner, which we have every year here in New York, in Manhattan, after a day game, the whole team dressed up and everything. And we're on our way there, and I had seen a post either from USC Baseball or Bret. He was throwing out the first pitch at the USC-UCLA game. I saw a picture of him and my dad and Maddie. So I was like, I just called Bret to see how it was, see how Dad was, the whole bit. And good, and didn't think much of it. Hey, saw Michael Young there. It was good though. They looked, SC looked good. Looked like they had a good pitcher going, catching up. So then on my way home from the welcome home dinner, I'm back on the bus, and he calls me and he goes, Boch just called me and asked if I wanted to be the hitting coach and could I be there Monday. So I was like, the speed in which all that happened and went down was pretty remarkable on really just a chance I'm going to the SC UCLA game today, and you never know, like, right place, right time. And so I was fired up. It was really neat hearing how it all went down, and, kind of got a feeling right away that he hadn't accepted yet, but, I felt like that was a formality. And so, yeah, really excited for him and know he's ready to be in this place and be able to impact some people. And quite certain he's already doing that. And but I'm excited that he's back in uniform in the dugout in a lot of ways where he belongs.
Exactly, where he belongs. So, Bret, we've talked about this since we started the podcast 5 years ago. We watch every Yankee game with great intent. Maybe not as much as your mom and dad, but we do watch every game. We root for your brother. We want to see him do well. What have you learned watching your brother go through this process of going back in the dugout, but not as a player, but as a skipper, and then you'll be able to take as a coach?
Well, you know what I learned, and I think Aaron's gone through a lot. He's, as I mentioned before, I got to the ticker, which I do enjoy. So I apologize for jumping ahead of myself. I kind of can feel it just from a professional standpoint. And I always try to put myself in Aaron's shoes, because I know how tough it is. That being said, also having limited control of what Aaron can control or what a staff member can control. We can only do so much. And I'm finding that out now. I'm learning that on the fly. Is I've never felt so. Once my guys take the field and that anthem plays, I've never felt as much lack of control over anything in my life. And I think over the years, talking to Aaron, when the Yankees are going well or they're not going well or somewhere in the middle, just kind of always giving him that big brother, there's only so much you could do. And I hear his voice in the other end. He's been used to dealing with this now for years. And for the first time, I could kind of feel what he goes through on the daily basis. I mean, we just went on a great run, for instance. We had won 6 out of 7 at home. I'll tell you, you lose that game. I felt like we just lost 10 straight sitting there, because as staff members, we're not going through the grind that the players go through sometimes. And I equate it to this. As players, we win and lose games, but we got to be out there the next day and the next day and the next day. Some days we lose a game and you get a couple hits and you might hit a home run and turn a big double play. And yes, you lost, but you're going to be able to sleep tonight and move on. As Aaron's job, the manager, or my job now, hitting coach, when you lose, you go 0 for 5 every time. and if you win 100 games and you're a great big league team, you went 0 for 5 62 times. So that's what I'm feeling. Until you actually do it, you have that experience. You can't really truly know what Aaron's been going through, or now what I'm going through, because, man, we live and die with these kids. You get invested with the players of today, and you really care. And there's only so much we can do. And I laugh about how big has been made of me coming back. Well, the story is, the family and me coming back, and I go from podcasting and working with Odyssey to all back on the field again. And now I'm joining, in some way, now I'm a peer with my brother again. So yeah, I understand the story and the notoriety that it's gotten. But as a player, I love that. And I loved being at the forefront of it and having to answer all the questions of the press. As a background player, which I'm calling myself now, I'm a little uncomfortable with it, because it's like when they win and they execute and they do their job, that's not me. That's them. So I feel, and the press will say, well, yeah, well, no, it really doesn't have anything to do with it. If I can impact them a little bit and help them get into a position to succeed, then that's great. I did my job. But really, the credit or the non-credit, really, that goes to the player. They make it happen. They're the one in the box. So that's the one thing I'm learning. Now I have a little bit of an idea when I have that phone call with Aaron and they're going through a tough time, and I'm just going, hey, that's baseball. You've been doing it your whole life. Yeah, as players, it's one thing, but when you're the skipper or where you're the hitting coach, it's different. You take it a little more. And And you move on. You're professional. You move on. Today, the sun's going to come up, and we're going to go have a chance to win a game today. But that's the early lessons I'm learning of this job, and now can relate to what Aaron's been going through for several years now in New York.
Okay, a couple questions I want to ask. Number one is, Aaron, what was Laura's reaction when you said, "You're never going to believe this, Bret's getting back in uniform"? And Bret, we never asked what your wife's reaction was when you told her, "I'm thinking of taking a job and going back out on the road."
Laura's like, "What? Was he going for that?" Or what? However she phrased it, like, what? So it caught her off guard too. So I think she sent me the whoa emoji too, like. Where this, it just felt like this came out of nowhere, which in a lot of ways it did. But
the whoa emojis were flying, and not just from Aaron and Laura and my family.
Yeah,
a lot of my close friends, when I told them, they had Aaron's reaction of, "You didn't tell us."
But I think she's excited. She knows, what this game means to him, and just knows the place he's in his life, and it's an awesome opportunity to impact young, talented people, and that's a pretty cool thing. And so her conversations then turned to my mom and how's Krista? How does this impact her? Because she hasn't ever lived this.
She's never lived this life, right?
So it's I'm sure from their standpoint, what the heck is going on here,
Bret?
Well, it's funny because Aaron was telling the story about the SC. It was a completely innocent conversation. Aaron calls up because Aaron, he's the SC nerd. He's got to find out everything
He's
going on.
He's proud of being a Trojan. I'm not sure about you, Bret.
He wasn't calling to say, "Hi, how's my brother doing?" Hey, how'd the SC game go? No,
right.
I'm kidding. So anyway, we have this conversation. Then Bochy calls right after. And now I think Aaron's up to something. Like he knew something. That's why he was... Right. No. So I call Aaron right back after Bochy. I said, "Wait a minute." I said, "Did you know something when you called me earlier?" And he goes, "What are you talking about?" So that's when he said it was a whoa, it really was. And then I would, we talked, we have the same agent, and I talked to, obviously conversations came right after that with my agent, and his reaction,
which you guys share. You guys both use Adam, right?
Yeah.
Adam.
So Adam said, "Well, what was Aaron's reaction?" I said, "Adam, I think he's stunned." He goes, "What do you mean?" I said, "He didn't have much to say. Like he didn't see this coming. He's still kind of taking it all in. Like, where did that come from?" But that was the reaction from everybody. First, myself, because this is the last thing on my mind that particular day, and Aaron talking about Laura, that wasn't something that I put out there. Bret wants to be a hitting coach right now. No, that's not at all. My closest friends, when I told them, they're like, "Where did that come from?" Because usually when something like this is going to come along, you're talking to somebody, you put it out there that you're interested. This was out of left field. So the reaction from my mother, who is probably at this stage of life, being my mother, has seen everything. She doesn't get woed too often, and she was a whoa. All right, moving to Krista, my wife. I told her, and as Aaron's mentioned, she knows nothing about this life. She's got no clue.
Right.
She knows nothing about baseball still to this day. She still explains to me, and I have to explain to her, "Listen, you do me a favor, just try a little bit." That's what I tell her. Just try. Just try to understand it. So I told her, and she said, I said, "What do you think?" And she says, "Well, what do you think?" I said, "Well, I've mentioned if, when people in passing, would you go back in the field?" I said, "The right situation presented itself. Yeah, and Bruce Bochy, obviously right at the top of that list. And Krista knows my personal feelings for Bruce and our relationship through the years. And I said, it's Bruce Bochy." She goes, "Well, that's one of your favorite guys, isn't it?" I said, "Yeah." She goes, "What do you think?" I said, I was in the whoa moment. I'm like, this kind of it's going to be a little bit of a life change right now, And she said, "Well, what does it mean?" I said, "What does it mean in the short term? It means if I do good, I'll see you in 6 months. I said, if I do bad, I'll see you in 5. And still, that didn't sink in. But the more I thought about it, it's just, it really, after about 10 or 15 minutes, it really wasn't a question. It's, I've got to do this. It's the right thing. It's not something, there was no agenda, and it just happened. And I think Aaron said right place, right time. Yeah, I truly believe if it wouldn't have come up at that USC game, I don't know that I'd be here right now. So it was kind of a
that USC education paying off, baby.
Yeah, finally, Bret.
No,
finally.
it was really a fate thing. And it really hit me when I went to Boston, because I think Boston's where I played my last big league game. And, my grandpa played on that field, and obviously Fenway was one of the historic venues. And I put my uniform on and I walked out into the dugout, and I kind of just looked around. I said, I'm right where I'm supposed to be. And I don't know why now or why this particular situation, but I didn't question it. It's like, let's get to work. And now it's like, all right, I'm a hitting coach. What do I do?
Well,
I had to go prepare. I had to go prepare.
Not dissimilar for the both of you. So, Aaron, you came out of the booth straight onto the field. Mm-hmm. You catch lightning in a bottle. You and Brian Cashman have had such a great relationship. He respects you, your honesty, your integrity, and it's something the Yankees needed. You look at your big brother over here. We've been doing this podcast. He comes straight out of the podcast into a big league job. So both of you jumped right into it after being behind the microphone for a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, in a lot of ways, mine came together out of nowhere, right? I mean, I was at one of my son's football games on a Saturday, and I got a call from Cash, who frankly, at that point, I didn't know that well. My short time in New York, I knew him, and when I in passing say hi to him, but didn't really have much of a relationship. And then he reached out and said, would you like to interview for this? And I said, sure. So I flew back the next week, and it kind of came together in like a 10-day period where they were interviewing, and next thing you know, we're moving to New York and leading the Yankees. So maybe a little longer timeline than Bret, but definitely came together quickly.
Although, Bret, you didn't interview.
No, I ddidn't interview.
Do you like that, Arnie?
Yeah.
He didn't even interview. They just said, Bret, come work for us. He didn't even have to go through the interview process. I think he's short timing us, isn't he?
Oh, I'm big time, all right.
There's big time there.
No interview necessary.
Let's talk about you two and your relationship. So I don't think you guys didn't go to high school together. You guys really didn't play together that much, did you, as kids?
Not until the big leagues.
The big leagues.
We were never peers as kids because of the age difference. So Aaron was always 4 years. I was leaving high school. He was entering college. The same thing. He's in the minor leagues. I'm in the big leagues. And then we got to play together with each other in '98 for quite a bit. And Aaron was my third baseman. And I'll let Aaron speak to this as well. But that's the one thing, because we're always asked about it. You got to play. It's a pretty darn special thing when you get to play with your brother in the big leagues. But at the time for us, Aaron was just kind of getting his feet wet and just was trying to establish himself. And we didn't really look at it as, isn't this really cool that we're brothers and we're playing in the big leagues? I was more of, Aaron's my third baseman, get me the ball so I can turn this double play. He had a different set of friends coming in. He was with the younger guys. He was hanging out with the Sean Caseys and the Dimitri Youngs, where I was kind of with Barry Larkin. We had different running, we ran in different circles. We were teammates. We got to spend some time together off the field. But I definitely, for my side of it, we didn't stop and smell the roses and really look how special of a situation that is. Not too many brothers get to do that. But other than that, playing against each other, we did that quite a bit. In
professional baseball, though, right?
Only in the big leagues. Only in the big leagues.
Did you guys play against each other in the minor leagues?
No. Aaron, I covered this.
No. But you
Aaron
played against your dad, right?
My father was, Aaron played for my father.
Right.
I played against him in the No, you were in Tacoma. Aaron, where were you? Rich.
What? I'm trying to put all this together. There's so much Boone legacy. I get confused.
Aaron played for my father.
Right. Where?
I played against my father in the minor leagues.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Aaron, Bret tells me that when he played against Bob, he just wanted to beat his brains in.
He doesn't?
He did.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. A little extra motivation playing against your dad. And then did you get a chance, Aaron, to appreciate the fact that, very few people have got to do this where there's two Boones in the lineup at the same time?
I mean, a little bit, but like Bret said, like when you're in it, you're like, it's such a, it's a big leagues. Like it's, you're trying to figure it out, in 98, the year he talked about, that's kind of when I became the starter in the second half of the season. You're not stopping and like how neat this is. Like, yeah, there's a level of appreciation. I stayed with him those couple of months, and you get to be around him, but I never really stopped and like, how great is this? We had the last day of the season where we had the Boone infield and the Larkin.
The Larkins, right?
And I was like, so over it. Like, I'm like, what? Like, I'm playing. Like, I don't want to. I'm not here to, tip my cap. I'm trying to become a big leaguer here, and like, so it was this, big news thing, and I just wanted to play, and like, I didn't like the distraction of it.
I also was wondering, when you were coming up through the minor leagues, did Bret take care of you? Did he send you a couple gloves? Did he send you some bats? Did he help you out a little bit at all?
Yeah, bats a little bit. Gloves, no. Like by that time, like if you were a higher pick and a prospect, like you started to get taken care of by the equipment places and your agent and things like that. So, but bats were always big. Bats, to get some big league wood sent your way and have a dozen in the holster was always nice.
Now, what about for Matty, your younger brother who played minor league baseball? Would you send Matty stuff?
Yeah, I think yes. Collect some bats for him, get them down there. Maybe if you had extra batting gloves laying around, are always nice to float down to them. So yeah, but definitely bats was the big one. To get some big league wood, that was big.
I mean, so without the Stoltz brothers being around, without the little man bringing Aaron around so he could play with the big kids, I mean, the first time you guys got together on the big league field is in Cincinnati, and then Aaron, at USC you followed Bret. High school, you went to two different high schools, but you followed Bret. Now Bret's following you into the dugout, into the manager's spot. Let's talk a little bit about just that family legacy.
Mm-hmm.
You think about Ray, and I know Bret was closer because he spent so much time with Ray as a little kid. But what do you think Ray Boone's thinking about what's going to happen in Yankee Stadium with the two of you standing there?
I mean, he would be.
He wouldn't let you know, but behind the scenes, he'd be poking every hot dog vendor. You know what's going on tonight.
Oh yeah,
that's how he was.
He was as proud as anyone of the legacy, and his son, his grandkids, and definitely always watching and like Bret said, like behind the scenes, hey, what's happening today, don't you? So he's definitely I think pulling up a chair and smiling down the next few days.
I think too, Rich, to just capitalize on that, and because I've watched through the years when Aaron took the position in New York, as much as my dad and grandpa, they have their differences personality wise. My dad's kind of that way because I get to see it with Aaron, because my dad in a lot of ways is like my grandpa. He said, never let him see a sweat guy. Never to your face is he going to give you that overwhelming praise. But I see as my father has gotten older, he'll have moments where, and I'm not really looking, but we'll be in a room full of, we'll be at an event and a complete stranger, we'll be and he'll point Aaron out in the dugout and go, that's my son. So I the proudness that grandpa had, dad kind of has it too. And it's a cool thing. It's a cool thing to see, because these guys, I always talk about my grandpa, he'd follow us everywhere, and we'd come to San Diego, was where he lived. And I'd come out after the game, and you got aunts and uncles, waiting for you. And you got to say hi to 20 different people, and nephews and nieces, cousins. And Gramps always had his spot. And he'd wait in the back, like, looking at his watch, like, I have the special time at the very end when Bret's wrapping up with everybody. And that was Gramps, you know. I know he's sitting up in the stands telling everybody how great his grandson is to anyone that'll listen. But now it gets to me. Let's say we won tonight and I had a nice game. I had 2 for 3. I hit a 2-run homer. And, hey, Gramps, how you doing? Hey, you done visiting enough with everybody? I said, yeah. He said, what happened that last at bat? I said, what about the 2-run homer? Well, we'll talk about that later. He goes, I want to know that last at bat. How the hell could you be looking for that pitch in that situation? I said, Gramps, I got 2 hits and I hit a 2-run homer, turned a big double play. Yeah. I want to talk about it. And that's how Grandpa was. But I knew that going in. So I knew I would just laugh. I knew how proud he was of not just me, but the entire family and everything that had happened at that point. From a Boone family perspective, but it's cool. And it's cool as you get older and you navigate this life, looking at everything, you know, from Grandpa to Aaron to Matt, to everything that everybody's done. And it's, you become proud, and not just, you know, at a certain part of our life. And Aaron could probably speak to this. When I was coming up in the big leagues, coming up through the minor leagues, and everybody, all they wanted to talk about was my grandpa and my dad. And I got a little resentful of it. Like, hey, I'm here to play. Look at my numbers. And then you get to this point in life and you look back and you kind of smile like, wow, it's pretty cool what we've been able to accomplish to this stage and still going. You know, you look at I don't know, all the kids now and what they're off and doing and pursuing their careers. I'm very proud of that. Not only for my family, but my Aaron's family and Matthew's family. It's pretty cool. And I don't know. It's getting a little older, Rich. You get a little different perspective, but definitely, you know, it's a pretty neat thing.
Okay, well, let me ask this of Aaron then. So, as a kid coming up, you probably heard, "Oh, you're Bret's brother." So he got Ray's grandson, Bob's son. You got Ray's grandson, Bob's son, and then you go, "Oh, and you're Bret's little brother all the way through school, probably from USC and then on through." The family legacy, carrying that name. Talk about it.
Yeah, I would say probably similar to Bret. Like, I don't think it bothered me, though. I think I didn't care.
Yeah, like, you can't.
You know, like, so I wasn't necessarily resentful of it, you know, because I liked all those 3 guys that went before me, and, you know, so, but I was just like, yeah, that's great. But, you know, I got places to be and places to go and ladders to climb here. So that's kind of how I looked at it. And, you know, I love the game and I loved sports and loved playing it and thought I could do it well. So I was out to prove myself. So that's kind of how I looked at it. That just came with the territory.
So now that you get a chance and you're both older, you've got kids, Aaron, you've got your kids and they're off doing great things at Bella and Surgeon. Your son who's over at North Carolina, and I'm actually got a North Carolina hat because of him, so I'm rooting for North Carolina football this year. And, you know, Bret, you've got Jake, the twins, and the girls. Now that you have a little bit of patina to you, standing there in uniform, Yankee Stadium tomorrow, what do you think is going to go through your mind when you're going to be asked to stand there? They're going to take about 5,000 pictures of the both of you in pinstripes in a road jersey from the Rangers.
I think that's one thing, because it's so normal for us in our life. Yeah, this time in a little bit of a different capacity. We're not performers now. We're not going out there and having to get a couple of hits tonight. But when you know, there's going to be that, and it'll be cool seeing Aaron and getting that moment. But I think when the game starts, it's just like when we played against each other. You know, we've always been very supportive of one another. But when we played each other team-wise, we wanted to kick each other's butt. Now, if we had a laugher going, it was 10-2, and Aaron got a hit his next at bat, I was kind of happy for him. Like, yeah, Aaron could get a hit here because it doesn't matter. We're going to win the game. And I don't think that's going to change when he takes the dugout tomorrow. It's when the game starts, it's going to be business as usual. I'm going to do the best job I can to prepare my hitters to whoop up on the Yankees, and he's going to do the best job preparing his guys to get ready to beat the Rangers. So it's not going to really be, I think, before the game, I'm sure we'll get a few pictures and stuff like that. That's going to be nice and cool. Proud for me. But once that national anthem goes, I'm not going to be thinking about that. I'm thinking I've got a job to do. I got to get my hitters prepared, and hopefully they come out banging. And that's what it is. It's not going to be I got to beat Aaron. It's so important. It's no, my job is for us to win tonight. This is another big league contest, and I've got to win. So I think it's going to be really cool, the nostalgic stuff. But once the game starts, it's going to be just another game, trying to win one.
Aaron, you're going to look across. I know that you're going to be intense. I know you're going to want to win. I know you're going to want to beat the Rangers, but you're going to look across. You're going to see that guy standing over the side that looks a lot like you, and he's got that same uniform number, although he's not wearing a jersey either. He's going with the sweatshirt look, so I think he's stealing your swagger. When you look over, do you think you might make eye contact with them during the game?
Sure. But we'll have seen each other a lot, I'm sure, that day.
You'll be tired of them by then.
Sure, we have an interview lined up and some pictures and stuff. You know, what sometimes people ask you, what's your favorite thing about the game? And a lot of times I'll give different answers all the time probably, but one of my go-to answers is 7 o'clock, because 7 o'clock, man, the game goes, you're competing there. We're not competing physically anymore, but you're competing on the biggest stage with the best players in the world doing it. Like, there's nothing better than that competition and that drive to like win a ball game. Like, you pour everything into, for us all winter, even spring training, it's to shake hands at the end of the day, like that's the goal each and every night. And 7 o'clock really, like, for all that's going on, 7 o'clock just becomes real pure and like, let's go compete. And I've always loved that about the game. And so I'll definitely, I'm sure, look over there plenty, just because I'm curious anyway. And
right.
I'm looking around a lot anyway. So it'll be cool to see him over there, but, and even a little fun to have that competition again of like, even again, we're not playing, but our teams are competing against one another. I always loved that.
Well, I just want you to remember, Aaron, all those times where you hit a home run, he was lying when he said it was foul, and he was just trying to get a rise out of you when you were little kids. I mean, all the times he tormented you, I want you to remember that. And by the way, he won't know what time the game is because he doesn't have a fancy Oris watch like yours.
That's right.
There you go.
Well, that's another thing that's funny, and Aaron will like this. I get to Boston, and it's one of those days where it's raining, so we're in a little bit of a delay. So I'm in the cage for 3 hours getting to know these guys. My first day, come out for the game, first game. I get in the dugout. I'm kind of looking around. That's pretty cool. So the game's about to start. I got my camera, and now I'm in the Instagram. I've been in the podcast world for a while. I take a picture of my first day, just document. Everybody's looking at me. You can't have your phone in the dugout. Like, I thought I could, but the game hadn't started yet. It hadn't started yet. We were just getting ready. Like, you can't have your phone in the dugout. That's against the rules. So I learned that rule right away. 15 minutes before the game, I'm out there thinking, this is pretty cool. I hadn't been here in a long time. I hadn't been here for 17, 18 years. And, so I learned that was my first lesson right there. I just thought, it's 2025. You can do anything you want. You can't have watches. You can't have cell phones. But we got it out of the way.
Yeah, you can have that
Oris
watch.
You can't have an Apple Watch.
Right,
That's
but the Oris watches are good, right?
No technology watches.
Yeah.
So I did not violate any rules. They were just letting me know. Because if they wouldn't have told me, I'd have had that phone right there in my pocket the whole game without even knowing that it was a rule.
Arnie, what kind of fine in kangaroo court would that be on your staff?
That would be pretty hefty.
Yeah.
Actually, Gene Afterman would be all over that as assistant GM, and she comes down hard on us for that.
Well, see, no problems here. I learned. I just didn't know. I didn't know the rules. I didn't know. I hadn't even finished signing my contract yet.
That's outstanding. By the way, I do need, Aaron, I do need you to give me an evaluation of how your brother sits in the dugout, because there's a whole role of where the hitting coach sits, where the pitching coach sits, how you pay attention, the confidence. I mean, Arnie, we see you in there leaning in on television all the time. I want to make sure that Bret's presenting that Boone name properly, because he's on TV an awful lot if you watch their games.
Yeah, I'll definitely have an evaluation when the series ends of his dugout demeanor.
Here's the thing. See, Aaron's had the luxury now of traveling the league several times, so he knows his little spots. He knows where he's going on the road. He's got a routine. Now at home in Texas, I have my routine. It took me a little bit, but I see where everybody stands. I don't want to come in and just, hey, this is where I'm standing. Well, I've been standing here for 3 years. So I've got it all down now. I know what I'm doing in Texas. So I have when the hitters aren't, when we're on defense, I've got a spot in the dugout. We're on offense. I'm right there next to Boch, right at the top step where the hitters come out. So I've got that down. Now there's challenges to the road. Boston's a different animal. It's one of the original. It's a tiny dugout. You've got to make spots, and you're kind of feeling your way. Then we went to Detroit. I had a little different system. So I'm still learning. I've never been old Yankee Stadium. I've been a lot. New Yankee Stadium, I've never been there. So it's trial and error with me, and I'll try to figure it out.
Now, Aaron, I did ask him if he's going to try to catch you. I didn't realize this. I read this week that you were the all-time leader in ejections for a Yankee manager, 41. I think you're the all-time leader now. Do you think your brother might get run at least once this year?
No.
I know how to push the envelope and stop right before I get in trouble. Aaron clearly does.
So do I. I stop a lot right before I get in trouble.
I would like to see Bret thrown out of a game, though.
I don't know. I've only gotten thrown out of one game at any level ever in professional baseball. One game.
Aaron, as a player, how many times did you get run?
First career game.
Correct.
I got run probably 5 or 6 times as a player.
So as much as Aaron, yes, and sometimes it is a calculated ejection. I get it. But I cannot get for me to get run. I would have to absolutely lose my mind in a big situation. Now I've chirped already, though. I did chirp.
Oh, you have?
I chirped the other day.
Really?
He looked over at me, and I just kind of looked at him. Maybe he didn't know it was me because I had my glasses on. It's a new look, the glasses. I can't see without them until I get my LASIK tuned up. I need to be able to see.
He probably heard you chirping and goes, oh, no, there's another one.
There's another one.
Right, and I'm running out of guys that were still umpiring.
Yeah.
Right.
When I was playing. So if I got a guy on the crew that was umpiring when I was playing, they're going to know me, and they'll go, hey, that's the good Boone. He doesn't get thrown out of games. Don't worry about him. But if I don't have, see, that's the biggest, everybody in the game, Aaron had a certain reputation as a player. I had a reputation as a player. Aaron was the more of the well-mannered, good guy. And Bret was, I hear you media guys talking. I was the cocky, this and that. But I didn't get thrown out of games, and Aaron did. Now I'm like the good guy. I'm the nice Boone, and Aaron's the mean Boone. So we'll see how, as time goes on, we'll see how nice I am.
Yeah, I can't wait for the umpires to go, oh, God, now there's 2 of these Boones out here that we have to deal with.
Yeah, but it's different. When you're in my capacity and Aaron's, he's going to be a lot more vulnerable. When you're the skipper, you take the onus a little more on. Hitting coach, I could kind of just yell at him, but then Boch will get to him, and he'll probably get the repercussions for my actions. So when you're a skipper, there's a little more on the table. You're a little bigger of a target.
You guys talk all the time. What are you going to talk about now? Because Aaron, Bret's not going to be watching. He watches all the Nicky Knox games with the Braves. he's not going to have time to sit and watch every Yankee game.
Tonight we got dinner. So it's Bret and Jake are taking the train up here to Greenwich, and we got Jonelle graduated college today.
Oh, congratulations!
So, yep. So we're going. Jonelle, me, Brandon, Bella, Laura, Bret, and Jake. Dinner in Greenwich tonight.
Yeah, and then Judah, one of the twins, he'll be pulling in tomorrow. I'm gonna take him to the ballpark early. It's the first time he's ever been to the ballpark early because Judah was too young when I was playing to kind of tag along. So that'll be cool. That's the cool part of this is getting to see Aaron, getting to see the kids, getting to see Janelle and Brandon and Bells and Laura and having my kids be a part of it. That's fun for me. I haven't seen my son Jacob since Christmas, so this is pretty cool. I went over and visited him today at his office at the commissioner's office, and that was cool. So it's kind of more for me now. I'm getting to catch up on family time in the off day, and then we'll go back to work starting tomorrow. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
All right, let's end with this. But I do want to. I got one more question to ask. As you guys get ready for all of this, who are Bob and Sue gonna root for?
Me. They're Yankees.
They're
Yankees
but
now.
I'm kind of my mom's favorite though. So
They're Yankees.
Yeah, I don't know.
They're strikers.
We've been talking about that. So, just on surface level talk, like, okay, when all this goofiness comes up because of Savannah and Nick Allen, and who does Savannah pull for? I said, well, absolutely your husband, because Nick is a player as well. Now, if Savannah's dad was playing and her, now I'd say, come on, sis, give me some love. But the family dynamic is kind of crazy. I think, if you're cheering for both of us, it's a pretty cool thing if you're our mother. So I don't think there's a loser.
Now, who's Bob rooting for is what I want to know.
Oh, he's just, I don't know. Same thing. I think they don't really care. They want us both to do well. And the thing is, if it was cool enough that we met in the postseason and something was on the line,
that would be the Yankees.
No,
Bret, I hate to tell you this. Bob Nightingale wrote about this yesterday. Sue Boone said she was going to root for the Rangers to get 11 hits and for the Yankees to win. So, Arnie.
Well, it's a pecking order. It's player first. You always root for the player.
Okay. Then
you root for front office or uniform personnel second. And I think right now, Aaron would, from a mother-father perspective, the skipper trumps on the coaching staff. Yeah. So if it makes him feel better, when push came to shove in a postseason game 7, if he felt better that his mother is pulling for him, I can go along with that.
She likes you better, Arnie.
But their Yankees are in their blood now.
Yeah,
I'm just getting loose.
They're Yankees.
We're just getting started. Aaron's had several years to facilitate.
I think Sue has some Yankee gear. I don't think she has any Ranger gear.
Well, you see what she's duded up with in a week.
I don't know, Arnie. Yeah. I've got my Yankee hat, right? Yep. I've come to see you. I haven't gone to see Bret yet, so I'm not sure what hat I'm going to wear tomorrow.
Yeah, with Yankees.
Oh yeah, you'll wear an A's hat if they're in town.
All right, last thing I want to ask you. You know that one photo, Arnie, that you have in your office from the All-Star game?
Yep.
Tomorrow, you guys are going to get the picture of the two of you in that uniform. I want an autographed copy from both of you. I think it's going to be pretty special. I know that that photo of Ray, Bob, and the two of you in All-Star uniforms is pretty special. How special is it going to be for the rest of your family to see the two Boone boys lined up next to each other with big league uniforms as coach and manager? I mean, if that picture means that much to you two that you have it hanging in a uniform, Bret, I know you have it in the house prominently displayed for Bob and Sue. When they see those two uniforms and they get that photo, how big is that going to be for them? How proud are those two going to be of what you guys have accomplished? Then you look at Matty, who's the king of turf in Southern California. I mean, all three Boone boys, pretty successful.
Well, one less game they have to tune into. They don't have to pay attention to as many screens tomorrow, so they can focus on one game and Nick's game too off to the side. So that'll be nice. You know what? I think it'll be really neat for the younger kids, like Bret said, that, Judah never really got to come to the ballpark. Isaiah, so them seeing this portion of the show, and my kids seeing it and Bret on there now, I think it'll be neat for them.
Bret?
Yeah, I think it will be. I mean, our picture tomorrow, if we get a picture, that'll be nice. I mean, the grandpa, dad, Aaron, and myself, that was kind of historic because no one's ever had 3 generations of all-stars. So, and especially with grandpa passing, that picture became a little more special. That's going to be special, but I think Aaron hit it on the head with the kids. And my kids seeing Judah just getting to hang out, and he's the cool surfer from Santa Barbara that's really not into baseball, but he's going to be into baseball this week. He gets to see his uncle. He gets to hang out with his dad a little bit. Well, Jake's a baseball rat, so he loves it all. Savannah's interested, but she's living that life now. And my wife and my stepdaughters, all of a sudden, they are so excited. Like, what? You're in the Texas Rangers, and they're starting to get into it now. So they watch. So I think the kids and the family, the family members, the immediate family, but the people that normally wouldn't really think a baseball game's a big deal, they're paying attention. So, I think it's a win-win. And, once we get through this, we'll kind of get back to a little normalcy and just playing games. But it'll be a fun week.
Just take a minute, guys, and just tomorrow, just enjoy the moment, because it doesn't happen very often that both brothers have achieved so much as professional players and then have the second career. It's pretty amazing. I know Bret wants to play it down. Arnie, I know how much this means to you, but it is pretty special. And just someone who's Boone adjacent, it's going to be kind of a neat moment just watching the two of you. I know I go out to the sports bars. I need the Rangers on that TV. I need the Braves over here, and I need the Yankees over here. And I think everybody that loves the Boone family does the same thing.
Thank you, Rich. We will try and drink it in as much as we can.
Yeah, and then Arnie, let's go get him.
Does that mean you're a Yankee, Rich?
I'm a Sue Boone fan.
All right.
I'm afraid of Sue, so I'm a Sue Boone.
You're covering your tracks pretty good.
100%. This is going to cover my rear end.
You're getting everybody in there.
There you go. All right. That's going to do it for Turning Two with Boone. Aaron, thank you so much for joining us. Bret, we'll catch up with you next week.
Yep.
Thanks.
See you, everybody.
Guys.